What's up, y'all? This is Ty. I am here to review Season 3, Episode 7 of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. And the episode is titled, We're All Are Guilty. Now, before I get into this review, I have to apologize to y'all for this being late. Yes, I'm late. That's because Friday was my birthday, and not only that, it was also opening night of the play that I'm in. Amen, amen. Let the church say amen. And we had 3 shows, so your boy has been busy and tired. I've been blessed, booked, and busy. So that's why this review is coming up today, because I finally got to watch the episode today. So here I am, reviewing episode 7. So shout outs to all you, my apologies yet again, but shout outs to my lovely subscribers. Shout outs to the R.C. Kroger, who's watching the show with me, Quiet Guy, Tayon's World, Hey Barbie J, who else is it? The R.C. Kroger, and Nia Johnson. And I agree with you, Nia Johnson. Nia Johnson said here, me and Kanan would have been throwing hands all over the apartment because ain't no way you putting me out of my own place. Facts. So true. And you know what? The same could be said about this episode too, Nia, because it's like, that's a lot of nerves right there. And we've seen that same thing happening today in this episode. For instance, it kicks off with Ronnie busting through the door. Were you busting through the door of Kanan's neighbor, the one who runs the courier service, snatching him up? Can you imagine that? You laying back on your lazy boy chair and somebody snatching you out your apartment to bring you into your neighbor's apartment, who is a teenager, by the way, telling you you ain't no good, this, that, and the third. Got the boy shook. Had the boy peeing, had the grown man actually peeing on himself, threatened him as that's taking place. Because Ronnie was like, yeah, I heard you like to talk. He said, no, I ain't going to the police. I just said that. He said, that's even worse. Saying you're going to do it is worse than doing it. I was like, Ronnie's so menacing. So anyway, as that's happening, here comes Famous walking in. And Famous walked into all this. He's like, oh, you know what, I'll come back. But then Kanan had the nerve to say to him, what are you doing here? Excuse me? This is my apartment. What do you mean, what am I doing here? Y'all would have had to kill me. What am I doing here in my apartment? So he was like, you know what, I'll just leave. He's like, no, get your stuff. You got a few minutes to get your stuff, then you can get the F out of here, whatever. Kanan's got a lot of nerves. Like, but again, why am I surprised? Because this is the Kanan that becomes the Kanan from the original Power series, who was ruthless and heartless, who killed his own son, basically. So why am I sitting here like, dang, this dude is so foul, like I don't know Kanan is foul. So Famous is packing his clothes, getting the rest of his stuff, and he takes the gun. So I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Because he takes the gun and he goes to put it down in his pants, and he changes his mind and he puts it in the bag instead. And I'm saying to myself, see, me, I'm overthinking. I'm like, oh, because he did that, now the gun is in his bag. And if he gets attacked, he can't shoot nobody, so he's going to get killed. So I was thinking Famous was going to get killed by Ronnie, because I was like, you see how he took the gun out, but then he put it in his bag, so he won't be able to reach the bag, and Ronnie's going to kill him. But I was wrong. But it felt like that because Ronnie was all up in his face, and Ronnie was like, oh, well, why you leaving? What you leaving for? And he said, well, I'm moving back home. And he said, but why? He said, my mom missed me. And he was like, well, why would your mother miss you? He's like, because it's my mother. But what makes you so special? Then he said, oh, because you like to talk. And he got all up in Famous's grill, like all up in his face, just totally playing him. I thought Famous was going to pee on himself too. Famous was shook, and then what bothered me was Kanan was just standing there like, whatever. Like, come on, this is how you do your boy. Yeah, I know you mad about what he did. I get it, but come on. He said, well, for the most part, he keeps his mouth shut. And that kind of saved him. But you could see the disappointing look on Famous's face. Like, dag, that's how you going to do me, Kanan? Like, for real? You got this dude up in my face? So that was really crazy to me. And then we see that Famous has gone home, back to his mother's house. His mother apologized for kicking him out. She said she was just scared. And Famous is like, I'm sorry too. I made some mistakes. I did some dumb things I wish I could take back. So I'm glad to see that he's back home. But his relationship with Kanan's not looking good. And I don't know, y'all. Famous might be out of here soon. I don't know. Meanwhile, Rock is trying to. We see Rock meeting up with Quan, and she's stating her case on why she could take over Unique's operation. Quan first says no. He's like, nah, Unique is dead, so is that operation. But then he comes back, after she's explained to herself and says what she's going to do. He said, okay. And he says, well, listen, my operation is sophisticated. We do a sophisticated operation around these parts. So once he says that, and, he says, I'm going to give you a chance, but you mess it up, you out. So that's how she's getting back in it. And we see her in this episode meeting up with the people at the Chinese restaurant, and they were a little hesitant at first. And then she said, listen, we don't want to just run this store. She told them, y'all not out. You can't be out. And she don't want to just run that store. She says, y'all own any other stores? And the dude says, no, I don't own anything, but my uncle does. And the uncle was sitting there eating. So now we see how Rock is going to get back in the game and how she's going to have, eventually have it coming out of all those different locations. So that was pretty much interesting. Meanwhile, Detective Howard is being grilled on stuff, and he's noticing that Scrap's mother comes in. And so he does that little diversion and gets over there and makes his way into the room to talk to Scrap's mother. And she spills the beans about what Lulu told her. And Lulu told her son was murdered. And, Howard intervened and got in there with that. But this could be very dangerous for her. And this is very damaging for Howard. And it's damaging for Rock and all of them because it incriminates them. So they have to do something about it. So now we have Howard again going to Rock and telling her, listen, your dumb little brother went over there drunk and exposed everything. And you need to handle that because Lulu's a mess right now. And so that's, she's pissed off. She has a conversation with Marvin and she tells Marvin, this is what we need to do. This is what you need to do. You need to handle this. You need to handle this situation. Before Marvin had to handle that situation, Marvin has taken a liking to Gerald. Remember Gerald from the meeting that he was in, the AA meetings and stuff that he was going to, those support groups that he was in. He comes over there to Gerald's house because he wants to give him the photo of Jukebox so that they can promote and write about the group Butter. And he sees the two little girls in the car. They're in the car, and God knows how long they've been in the car, sitting in the driveway, while Gerald is in the house getting high. So Marvin has been a real good friend to him. Marvin chastised him about that. That was real trifling. And this guy, Gerald, is having a harder time with these drugs and his habit than we realized. And we also learned that the mother's no longer around because she too is a junkie, and she's the one that got Gerald hooked up on this. But it was nice to see Marvin helping him out, and helping try to get all that together. And, I think their bond is, raising kids alone. That is and that's another bond of theirs. So I think that's why Marvin is taking a liking to him. He can relate, basically. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Really interesting right there. Then we have Jukebox in the group, and things are looking up for them because Butter is getting to open for Shanice. I like your smile. Y'all remember Shanice? Shanice, so underrated. Good, great singer. In fact, she was impressed because on her Instagram, she had that clip, because I follow Shanice. She had that clip on Instagram of the group saying that they were opening, of the group Butter saying they're opening for Shanice. So I guess she was flattered that she got that shout out in this episode. But the group is getting prepared, and Kanan takes Aisha out on a date. Now, like I told you before, I think, and we know that Jukebox really likes Aisha. She does. But Aisha goes out on this date with Kanan, and they're at the movies, and Kanan makes a move on her. She doesn't want to do that, so she says she's going home. And she's like, aren't you going to take me? He was like, no, you know how to get on the train. He did her like that. Yes, he did. He definitely did her like that. And so Jukebox confronted him about that. And Jukebox go to his apartment. Now there's the security guard and all this other stuff. And she's like, get out of my way. And she starts yelling. And then Ronnie lets her, and he's like, oh, that's his cousin. And in front of Ronnie, she pretty much let Kanan have. She said, you're nothing but a little boy trying to prove to his mother that you're a tough man. You a scared little boy. She said, you acting brand new. Who you hanging with these people now? You know, what is this? Now you with Snaps and Pop? What's this about? And this weirdo. Like, one thing I like about Jukebox, she's not afraid to speak her mind. And then she said, and I saw what you did. I heard what you did with Aisha, and I don't like that. And she pushed him. And then Ronnie says, you know, I could talk to her. And Kanan said, ain't no talking to her. You don't bother. Ronnie wants to rough up everybody. Ronnie wants to threaten everybody. Ronnie is nuts. He's insane. And the actor who's playing him, he needs an Emmy. He's doing a great job. I mean, all of them on this show are doing a great job. But this menacing, crazy character that he's playing is ridiculous. It really is. And how trifling was it we seen later, what's her name, Crystal, the other girl in the group? She's now messing with Kanan. So that's going to be interesting. And, you know, there's already tension in the group. You know, Aisha and Jukebox don't really get along with Crystal. So let's see what happens with that. That's going to be interesting. And then also we see how Jukebox is still dealing with the Army recruiters. So she's still torn, I guess, even though she got in the group. So I'm interested to see how all of that is going to play out. But then, let's stay on Ronnie for a little bit longer. Did y'all see Ronnie and the bodega lady? She all kissing up all on him. And then when Vanessa comes into the apartment, or is it Vanessa, comes into the apartment, into the house, Ronnie looks at her like, what are you doing here? The nerve. She said, this is still me and Neek's house. He said, pack your stuff and get the F out. A lot of nerves. You just taking over. A lot of nerves. Just how you throwing people out of their own house. And then homegirl tells him, she says, listen, I know, he said, that's harmless, that's family. He said, you know, sometimes family can be dangerous. So we see Ronnie going and threatening Neek's girlfriend, Vanessa, telling her, listen. He goes to Vanessa. What is her name? Vanessa or Vanessa? I can't remember. I think it's Vanessa. Anyway, he goes to her. Oh, this is where your mother lives? And she's like, you follow me? He said, listen, the killer is still out there. Whoever did that to the shop is still out there. So I don't want you to be hurt. She read between the lines, all that. You know, you got to stay safe out here. He's threatening her, basically. I said, that Ronnie. And he said, you know, we don't want your son, Jerome. You're all he got. Basically, I was like, wow, that was chilling. So he's basically like, stay in line now. You know, lost your baby daddy. Don't make me kill you too, is basically what he's saying. Basically what he's saying. And that was crazy. We also saw Detective Burke's father in this episode collecting Detective Burke's belongings. And Detective Howard had the nerve, the gall, and the gumption and the audacity to be speaking. Is there anything I can do for you? Knowing he's the one who killed Burke. That was crazy. And then Burke's father meets up with Burke's lover, former girlfriend, and they have a conversation. And that was an interesting conversation. She told him, listen, I'm not going to go after Detective Howard. And she says, you know, it was a loss for both of us. That was interesting. That was a really interesting comment. Very interesting comment. Then we have Jukebox telling, she went ahead and told Rock everything that's been going on with, she told him everything that was been going on with Kanan. She told that Kanan's dealing with Snaps and Pop, so that was good. She just said he's acting different, he's moving funny, he's hanging with Ronnie, he's doing all this. She told Rock, so that's going to be interesting how all that plays out. And then, of course, we got to get into how, basically, how Lulu has to deal with this situation. Lulu, when he gets confronted by Marvin about telling Scrap's mother that her son was murdered, he was so drunk he don't remember going over there. Now you that's a drunk right there. He don't remember going over to her house. So Marvin takes him over and says, you have to make this right. So they go back over there to her house, and now he had to kill Scrap's mother, and that's what he did. And that's how the episode ended, with him killing Scrap's mother. Another great episode. This is a very solid season. I thought this episode was good. I was mad when they killed Scrap's mother, but that's how it works in this show. They just everybody's just ruthless and just moves. Their moves are just deadly moves. So that was it. I enjoyed this episode. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen next week. What did they give us? 10 episodes a season. So that was episode 7. So we've got what, 3 episodes left? Thank you for watching. Tell me your thoughts. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video.